Okay, class, this is going to be an overview of effects and the effects panel. We're going to break it into two groups: effects that you can see as transitions, they're visual, they're on the sequence, and effects you cannot. You can only access the controls through the effects panel. Let's start with the ones you can see, the transitions. Shortcut, let me get my keyboard up here. Shortcut for the effects panel is Shift, hold Shift down, push 7. Now, unfortunately, on my screen up there, it's the, I can't remember the name of that symbol, but that's number 7, okay? That gives me this panel over here. I'm gonna blow that up so it's a little more visible. We're doing transitions, so I'm gonna close some of this stuff up so it's a little tidier. This is the default screen. I'm gonna start with the video transition. You notice there's audio transitions and video transitions. They function the same. The ones with the blue box are basically like they're like the default transition, by which I mean like a very standard transition. So I'm going to start with that cross dissolve right there. And the shots I've got, if I jump to the boundary here, I'm just going to use the up and down arrow keys. I'm going to go from this shot to this shot. Right now it's a straight cut. If we zoom in on that, and I'll change the color just so that there's a little more visibility here. So I'm going from kind of like a medium close up to this cutaway shot on the hands. To use this effect, I simply click and hold. I'm going to drag and drop where those two clips meet. By the way, it is a little easier if you're zoomed in. I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to back out. I'm going to hit minus. I'm zooming in the sequence. If I hit plus, I can zoom in there, and now I can see that transition, which is right there. It's that gray bar. So let me do that one more time. I'm going to select my effect, my transition, click and hold, drag and drop on the boundary where the two clips meet, let it go. And now if we look at the dissolve, we can see that the shots are basically being blended together. That's a dissolve, right? They mix together. If I want to change the length of the dissolve using the selection tool, shortcut V, all I have to do is go to the end of the little gray panel right there. Sorry, it's not a panel. Whatever, gray bar, the dissolve, and just drag the edges. You'll see this icon will appear. It's kind of a red shape, C shape, like a bracket. You can make it shorter or longer. It just means it plays either quicker. There's the fast version, a longer version. It's gonna, right? And then if I don't like the effect at all, I can click on it and just highlight it and hit delete, and it's gone. A couple other details. If I put the effect back on, if I double click, I'll get this little prompt, and I can actually type in the duration. Right now, the transition is 1 second and 6 frames. So sometimes in a film, you want to standardize something. You might say, I want my transitions, this group of transitions to all be the same length. It might be 15 frames. I would just put in 15, like this. And it will shorten to 15 frames. So let me do that one more time. If I double click, I'll get this prompt. And you can type into the different positions. Like you can, move to, this would be minutes. This would be hours. Or pardon me, I'm so sorry. This is seconds right here. So this would be like 12 seconds. This would be minutes, right? That'd be way too long for dissolve, but you get the drift. You can type it in. If you're doing something really short, you can just do this. I can just say I want it to be 2 seconds and 12 frames, like that. And then I'm going to say OK. And it will adjust to that duration. Okay. Now for all the transitions, that's how they all work. That goes for everything in here. They're just drag and drop. They all do something a little bit different. To understand them all, it's really just beneficial to experiment with them, not to dip to black. And just find what suits your taste. Experimenting and playing is absolutely critical to learning all this. And these are very, very flexible. You can put these on photos. That's dip to white. And you can use them on individual clips. So if I get rid of this first clip, and let's pretend that this is where my film starts. This is the first shot. And I want to fade in. I would do the same thing. I take a cross dissolve and drop it at the beginning of the clip, right there. Now it's going to go from black and fade in. And again, I can change my length just by dragging the edge like this. Same thing with the audio transitions. They behave exactly the same. Okay. Now if I'm going to do Command Z, I'm going to get my clip back. Let's look at the other effects, which are not quite so visual. We jump back into our panel here. Let me get rid of my keyboard here. I don't think I need it for a while. I'm going to go to Video Effects. And I'm just going to pull up, let's do Magnify. These are a little more mysterious. I'm going to do it to this shot right here. Now, these also work by drag and drop. So I just would take the effect I want, and I drag it to the clip I want to apply it to, and then I'd let go of the mouse. Now, most of the time when you're working, you're going to see this screen, like just your regular source. When you're working with effects, you need to see the effects panel is up in this space. So when I drag and drop an effect, that is not a transition. I now need to load this clip into the source monitor. The source monitor, this box up here, basically can plug into two different spaces. You can plug it into your source footage. You can tell it, hey, I want to see my clips, my footage, by double clicking it, and it will look at those. Or it can look at clips on the sequence. So if I double click a clip here, the source monitor is now only looking at this particular clip. It's from there that I would edit the effect. Okay, so I'm going to double click the clip. I've already dropped it. Now, if I come up here, it says Effects Controls. These effect controls only affect this clip. If we scroll down, we'll see Magnify right here. Now, before I move into this very quickly, all of these effects above it, where it says motion, position, all of these are always there. You don't add these. So for example, if I move over to this clip and I load it up, all of these controls only affect this clip. These are there no matter what. You can't get rid of them. Okay, I'm gonna move back to this one. And this one, we can see the one that I added, which is right there, it's Magnify. And from here, I've got the little drop down right there. I'm going to turn that so I can, it's pointing down. Open that up. And for a lot of these effects, I mean, there's a lot of them. You have to kind of experiment and try and figure out what they do. I've never actually used this one, so this could be a disaster. I'm magnifying a circle. There's a center. Yeah, I'm gonna make my clip a little shorter, just because that could take a long time to render. Anyway, so that's how you would do the effect. Now, this particular effect I'm not familiar with, so I'm getting kind of a strange product here. I suspect I need to render it. I'm going to pause on an explanation of that. So I'm just come back to I'm going to deactivate this effect temporarily, where it says FX. I'm going to click that. And that's just going to deactivate the effect, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to put a different effect on that we can look at easier, and we'll circle back. Let's do Oh, here's something that's worth knowing. When you're looking through your effects, because there are many of them, if you know the effect you're looking for, if you know the name, you can just type the name in here and it will search for it. So I'm going to put the mirror effect onto that same clip, drag and drop. And now it will appear here in the effects panel, effects controls that only apply to this clip. So let's fiddle with this one for a second. This one basically just is going to give you a mirror image. Let me see if I can make it work. There we go. Like that. It's kind of a neat effect. So if I pull my playhead through, pretty short clip. But that's the idea. Now, some effects need to be rendered. In rendering, you can see this red line right now. That's not bad, by the way. It's very normal. The computer is telling me that this particular video clip, it's not because of that red bar. It's telling me it can't play it back in normal speed because it's sort of challenging. So if I hit the space bar, I shouldn't expect it to play smoothly at this point. You know what the computer wants to do is it wants to create a new piece of video. In other words, this shot doesn't actually exist anywhere. The computer has to sort of make it up in real time. If I hit enter, the computer will render the sequence, and that's everything in the sequence. And what that means is that wherever there was red bars, the computer is going to create a new piece of video. It's going to put it into this scratch disk folder. And with that, because now there's a real piece of video, now it can play it back smoothly without any issue. Okay. So let's go back to that first effect and see if we can make the magnify effect work. I'm going to hit the FX button again, turn it back on. And again, I'm not familiar with this effect at all. I'm going to try and render it, and I'm going to do one extra step here. I'm going to move my playhead right here, and I'm going to hit I for in, and I'm going to move my playhead over here. I'm going to hit O for out. And now if I do a render, it will only render this section of the sequence. And that's nice if you're only trying to focus on one area. Okay, there's the render. Yeah, I don't know how this one works. It's not a major issue. I'm not terribly concerned about the fact, but that's the process. So if I want to continue editing, the first thing I should do is clear the in and out. And to do that, I'm going to go to where the gray is sort of grayed out up here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to clear in and out. Okay, so for the in and outs, one more time. On this sequence, if I want to place an in and out, I move the playhead to the in, hit I. Move the playhead to the out, hit O. And if I've done a render or whatever else I'm doing with it, and I want to get rid of it, right click on the gray area, clear in and out, and it basically resets it. Okay, quick review. Shift 7, that is a shortcut for the effects. So again, Shift 7 opens the effects panel. There are two general types of effects. There are transitions, audio transitions, and video transitions. Those are very easy to see because you're going to see them on top of your clips. A standard video transition would be oh, sorry, I have to clear my search. That's why it's not okay. A standard video transition would be a dissolve. That's a very standard. Those are drag and drop. And then from there, you can continue editing them. The other effects you will not see sitting on top of the clip. The only way to access them is through the effects control. And let's do one more time. I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick something random. I'm going to drag and drop this effect. If I want to control it, I need to double click this clip, load it into the source window. The source window can look in two different places. It can look at your source footage or a clip. I'm going to hit Effects Controls. These effects only affect this clip. And I can see as I add an effect, they load in chronologically. So I can also delete them if I want. So this is the first one I put in was Magnify. And then I added this one. And I just added this one, right? And so forth. So if I want to get rid of them, all I need to do is go in and hit delete, highlight them, and delete them. And that takes me back to start. Okay.